Om. 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 Agyanatimirandasya Gyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So again, Jai Gurudev, everybody, and very warm welcome for this devotee course. Some of you are not devotee of Paramahansa Vishwananda yet, and some of you already are initiated as devotees. And this course is designed by Gurudev himself to give you the introduction and most important information about Bhakti Marga, about the path that he's offering, about his teaching, and so like this to prepare you and to help you on the spiritual path that you have chosen. So I will try to speak a little bit slowly so that Dayitadasi manages to translate. And yes, and if there is problem, please send a message, because I think we will not be able to hear the voice here. So just put the message in the chat if there is any problem, and I will be checking the messages from time to time. So first of all, we will start with introduction. What is Devotee course about? And on the very first slide, you see that there is explanation that devotee is different from the spiritual person. And what is the difference? You can read on the slide. So first of all, let's look at the spiritual person. All of us, if we are already devotees, then we have been on the stage before we became devotees. If we are right now devotees, then it means that we have chosen the path where, for us, instead of wide range of spirituality that exists in the world, we have chosen one path. And those of you who are about to become, it means that you're in the process of choosing, of taking this step. So, spiritual person is in the process of the search. You see, spiritual person is looking to cultivate something positive, to enrich their lives, to become, let's say, more happy in their lives. This person will always pick up and choose what serves their goal, to be more happy, to be more healthy, to be even more maybe rich in many different ways. So like this, we are going from one path to another, from one tradition to another. We read many books, we practice some kind of spirituality, then if we don't like it, we change it. Sometimes we go for the trainings, which tell us that they will increase the quality of our life and that they will give us the spiritual attainments of different kind. So, on many of his satsangs, Paramahansa Sri Swami Vishwananda, our Gurudev, he has compared this kind of people to either a butterfly who is always flying from one flower to another, trying to pick up like nectar here, nectar there. So it's like an ungrounded person in a way, which is also good because this person is in the search and they do receive benefit from that. But on the other hand, Guruji compares such person with a person who tries to dig many wells instead of digging one well. Let's say we imagine ourselves being in a desert where there is no water. And let's say such person starts to dig a well trying to find the water. So then after some time, some days trying to dig and not finding the water because the water is deeply inside of the earth, then this person stops digging there saying, oh, I must be digging in the wrong place. So I'll start another well. So this person starts digging there. And then after some times again finds out, okay, many days again finished and I didn't find the water. So I start a new well. So like this person will probably never find the water. And on the opposite side, the person who has chosen the path and the guru will only dig in one place. And yes, it may take years, it may take time to reach the goal. But in the end, the goal will be reached because you will be digging in one place, you will be doing one sadhana. And so like this, slowly, deepening your understanding, you will reach the final goal, you will find the water. So this is the difference between a devotee. So devotee, how we come to the path? Well, first of all, we meet Guruji and we feel something. No, we feel, wow, there is something. He's really amazing. I feel connected. I feel love from him. I feel something divine from him. So this was also my case when I came to Guruji. I did not know anything about the path. And I think for many of us who came to him at that early time, it was 2007 when I met him. So for us all, it was just like, wow, he's a guru, he is Indian. Well, he's born on Mauritius, but he's Indian and he's giving us divine experience and the darshans. He's talking about divine love, he's talking about God. This is so awesome and so amazing, and we felt connected and we felt love and we felt connection to him personally first. I remember in 2008 when he first in some situation which happened to me, asked me, do you not know what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita? It was about the service, so he offered me seva to do and I refused it, thinking that I should do something else. So he was upset with me, so he asked, do you not know what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita? And I said, no clue, Guruji. So I didn't know. So then he said, well, you have to read it. You need to know what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So well, it took me quite some years till I actually came to really studying Bhagavad Gita. But the thing is that when we come to Guruji, in the first, some of us don't have spiritual knowledge. Some of us do have already spiritual knowledge from the past, where we maybe studied in some traditions. Some of us don't have at all, and we just look at Guruji and think, wow, okay, I want to follow him. So the first thing for the devotee is actually to feel connection to this particular master, to feel connection to Guruji, and to feel connection to God through Guruji, seeing God in him and seeing that he is the one who will bring me to the goal. Then devotee is the one who is striving actually to nurture this connection over and above their personal ego and their personal desires, personal ideas, personal decisions in life. So once we only like Guruji, we are just a follower. When we feel, okay, I would really like him to guide me and I would really like him to take me to the final goal, then there are some rules, regulations, and how I would say it's responsibilities that we take on ourselves. So when we take a devotee initiation, Guruji actually promises us that he will take us to the final goal. This is his promise. So from our side, we look to also promise him something, that we will, first of all, nurture this relationship, that we will try to obey to him to our level best, that we will try to learn his teachings, to follow the path that he is offering us. And that, first of all, we will empty this head, that we can't put anything new in the cup which is already full. No, many people say so. So same thing here. We try to put our perceptions, our ideas, our desires and our egos out, and we say, Guruji, please fill me with your guidance and teachings. And this is what this course is made for. So this is the first information that comes to you to nurture these relationships, to understand what's the path that Guruji is offering about. And so if we can say for spiritual person, the goal might be changing and the goal might be not settled really clearly. So spiritual seeker is like this, like maybe spirituality is about enlightening. Yes, I would like to be enlightening, but I don't really understand what enlightening means. Or like, yeah, doesn't matter how, but I just want to be happy, or I just want to be a good person. This is not really a very clear goal. So for Guruji, there is a very clear goal for each devotee, which we will speak about later. We will speak about our tradition, about Guruji's teaching, and you will see what the goal is. So for the devotee, the goal is very, very clear, and he or she is actively seeking to reach this goal with the efforts from our side. So this is the difference. So devotee has a clear path. Devotee has clearly understood that Guruji is the guide on this path, and actually is the path in very many ways. And Guruji, being embodiment of the Lord, is also the goal of this path. And so devotee is building his or her life around understanding of this path and around building this relationship with Guruji. And this is how I already said, is like digging a one well in one place to reach the water. Because in the end, yes, there are many paths. There are many places where you can dig the well and many ways to dig the well. And you can reach the water if you are diligent enough and if you have a right path and guru. But when you choose one, you don't switch anymore. Again, why I would like to specify it. Once Guruji also gave analogy like this. He said, when you are still on the shore, when you didn't decide to become a devotee, when you didn't decide to choose a guru, to step in the boat with the guru. He said, Guru is a boatman. So the boat, in the beginning, the boat is at the shore, one shore, which is full of Maya, illusion, whatever, where we are now. And then we need to choose the boat. And we see this boatman and we think, yes, this is my boatman. And Guruji recognizes you and says, yes, this is the one who has to be in my boat. So if this has happened, then you need to step in this boat. And Guruji says, while you are still at the shore, maybe you can put one foot in one boat and another foot in another boat. But now imagine they start moving. So you're going to fall in the water, no? You're going to drown. So this can't happen. Once you are in the boat, put your both feet there and allow him to take you on the other shore. So this is what devotee means. So the next thing that we need to know is what we will receive on this course. So this course is the formative training of Paramahansa Vishwananda. This training Guruji himself requested of his devotees to do. So that is why you know that everybody, every one of you received a message from us, a phone call from us, requesting you to please participate in this course because it is so important. So Guruji, some years back, he approached Swami Revati Kanta and other teachers who are now represent Bhakti Marga Academy, and he asked them to work out this course under his guidance. He himself selected the topics. And so whatever you will receive, know that it comes from Guruji himself and under his direct guidance, direct control. So Guruji says the ideal knowledge, skills and code of conduct is in this code, is in this course. And so all of these conducts were created for the devotees to be able to achieve the ultimate goal that he is taking them to. So you see, many of us in the beginning, how I also told you, like in the beginning I didn't even know anything about Bhagavad Gita. You know, funny to say, I didn't even know we were Vaishnavas. Like I saw he's still like, but I had no idea about Vaishnavas. I came to him because he was an amazing master. And on the first darshan, I heard him singing Hare Krishna and some other bhajans. And I thought, well, maybe we are something like this. But like Hare Krishna, like ISKCON. But I didn't know. I didn't know anything. And then slowly, I started to understand. I started to learn the puja, the deities, this, that, you know. So it was a slow process. And it's totally understandable when you enter the path that your knowledge might be very superficial. But as I already said on the previous topic, what is just a spiritual seeker, spiritual person in a very general meaning, this person cannot really reach any like a deep spiritual goal. It cannot be, it cannot reach profound spiritual realization or knowledge. So that is why we are taking this course now. And so what is also important is unified and clear understanding of a devotee's identity and responsibilities as an initiator of Paramahansa Vishwananda. So you see, when we come together, let's say there is a temple event, celebration of Krishna Janmashtami or something, and you come to the ashram, be it Sri Pitani Laya, be it Shri Giridhar Dham in Vrindavan, and then you see the devotees doing some things, like doing Guru Puja, wearing tilaks, wearing some specific kind of clothing. You see them singing particular bhajans and prayers. So if you don't know any of that and you're a devotee, you will feel very uncomfortable, and you will also feel less than other people, than other devotees. So, or whenever we speak about something, if again you don't know, you feel less, you feel not included. So to avoid all of that, and also avoid that some devotees feel, oh, like I'm so, developed and I know better, that everybody is on the same platform. So this devotee course gives you this opportunity. And when we also study, like for me, when I studied scriptures and I studied our tradition, I suddenly became much more grounded And I suddenly became much more sure and confident in Guruji's teaching, because I understood where he was coming from. And I understood that he was carrying all of this knowledge inside of him all of this time. But he could only give it in portions to us. He couldn't give it from the beginning in all of this amount, because we would not be able to digest it. But now for you, this is given in this course. So you can receive it in a very digestible way and feel really, in a good way, proud of our tradition. In a good way, very confident in what you are practicing. So this is a really big support on your spiritual path. So topics, next slide is topics to be covered in this course, which we just read through. So first of all, it's Hinduism and summary of the Shastras. Then it's Vaishnavism, our lineage in Vaishnavism, and our philosophy as Vaishnavas, because there are many, no? Vaishnava philosophies. The devotee identity. What does it mean to be a devotee? There is even a topic, separate topic like this. The division of adhikaris and bhaktas. Who are adhikaris, who are bhaktas, and what does it mean? Then we will study the dharma, the 12 pillars of dharma, because every devotee is supposed to follow the dharma. So there are 12 pillars, 12 principles of dharma, which we are supposed to nurture inside of ourselves, practice. Then what is Bhakti Marga spiritual order? And how is it built and what it is consists of? The key Sanskrit mantras that every devotee should practice. And then we will explore a little bit what is seva. And we will give a summary of further topics to be explored. So what will be the outcome of this course? A unified global Bhakti Marga culture is one of the goals that we are trying to reach, so that everybody is on a similar platform. Everybody understands the principles of Bhakti Marga, Guruji's teachings. Everybody knows what it is to be a devotee and shares same ideas with others. So Guruji really loves to speak about how nice it is that Bhakti Marga has a global family around the world. And almost wherever you want to go, you will actually be able to meet devotees and to join the programs with the devotees and to feel at home, receive support from the devotees. So this is what defines us, no? Whenever you say there are Telegram groups, there are communities, online, offline, so you join all of that, and whenever you just say that you are a devotee, people see you immediately also in a different way, because they connect, no? They see Guruji in you. They see, oh my God, this person loves Guruji. Okay, he's my family or she's my family. Guruji also speaks, of course, of the world family. He says, in the end, we need to learn to look at everybody and see God and see Him in everybody. But we start with the Bhakti Marga community and we expand further. So this is unified global Bhakti Marga culture that we are building, also using this instrument of the devotee course. What is very important is that devotees are equipped to represent Guruji. So imagine now you are devotee, you wear his tilak, and then suddenly you go into some restaurant and wearing your tilak and eat some meat there. It's just, of course, a very hectic example that I'm using. It's for sure not happened, but just imagine that you are saying something that is absolutely not correlating with Guruji's teachings, or doing something adharmic and still people know that you are devotee, no? So imagine immediately people don't think that you are just a bad devotee. They think, oh, he's a bad guru. That's what people think. So every devotee immediately, after becoming initiated, actually becomes this representative of Guruji, automatically. So if you are not a very good devotee, if you don't know the teaching, if you don't practice it, then yeah, of course, Guruji looks in not a very good way. So we have to think about that all the time. We have to think about him. We have to think about God seeing us in every moment of our life. Because he's omnipresent, no? And we know through the darshans how omnipresent Guruji is. This is his quality. So he knows what's going on. But it's on us and our responsibility to really represent what he's teaching. So this is also the goal of this devotee course. To make us a good representative of Guruji. Improve inter-devotee relations. As a result of an evenly educated community, especially in terms of ethics and conducts. This is what I already mentioned. When we are in the community, if we know less, then it creates the atmosphere that some people are better than the others. And this is what Guruji doesn't want. He wants to create as much as possible the equal relationship between the devotees. And of course, devotees will gain a deeper understanding of their path, their faith and practices by doing the devotee course. So now we are coming to the key points to remember from this part of introduction. So remember, first of all, that you are here on this course because of your own desire to learn and grow on your spiritual path under the guidance, tutelage of Paramahansa Vishwananda. So you see why we're saying it here is because it's very much in the human psychology to first take a decision, but then actually not really eagerly fulfilling your part on this path. And then saying, oh, it's like he wants me to do that. I'm not really I don't really want to do that. It's this guru, he wants me to do that. It's only because of him I should do that. So this wrong thinking comes from us forgetting that we actually ourselves first were looking for that. We looked for him, we looked for the path. Then we saw him, we felt him, we chose to take him as a guru, and he chose us as his devotees, of course, in return. But you see, it was our desire to learn. So it's on us, actually, if we will do it or not. And you see how, example of the children in the school. All the children come to the same class. Let's say there are 30 children in the class. And there is a teacher, and he gives information equally to every single child. And he gives the same book to every single child. And he gives his attention, let's take an ideal situation, to every single child as much as he can. And still in this class, there will be different success for different child. So each child will be doing to the extent of the effort that he or she puts in the study. This we know for sure, no? So there are children that come back home and they study the books and they're very diligent and they succeed more than the others. Then there are medium successful children that study a little bit and then and then spend a lot of time also in laziness or just like having other entertainments. And then there are children that don't study at all. And you can't do anything about it. Even if the teacher strives for it and tries really his best, it doesn't happen. So you see, with Guruji, in many ways, he still reaches his goal. But the thing is that we can choose from our side faster or slower. And that Guruji always says. He says, I'm there, I will give you. But the thing is that you can choose if you go fast, if you want to go faster, or if you want to go slower. You want to take the long route. And he's ever patient. So the training we receive now in the course, it will work for us if we put the effort into it. And this we have to always remember, that Guruji cannot walk this path for us. And he does say it also. He say, I can give you, but I can't chew for you. Like I can give you the food. I can even put it in your mouth. I can force it inside of your mouth. But if you don't chew and swallow, what can I do? So he's bringing this knowledge on the golden plate for us. But if we don't study, practice, and do our efforts from our side, if we don't do the sadhana that he gives, if we don't read the scriptures, if we don't listen to his satsangs, then if we don't associate ourselves with the sangha and many other things, then of course we will not succeed. So the training you are receiving in this course, again, has been carefully chosen by Guruji to help you to achieve your goals in the fastest, most secure and most accessible manner possible. And use this opportunity to ask questions and to solidify your understanding so that your journey may be really successful. So now I would like to ask if anybody has the questions, please let me look at the chat.
No, there's no question in the chat.
Okay. So if you have any questions now for the first introductory part, Daito Dasi, am I too fast? Okay. I was trying to make some pauses in between. Okay, so we move on. What you can also do is, I understand that sometimes during the lecture itself, the questions, they just don't come. It's normal. So what you can also do, you can think afterwards, like after today's lecture, tomorrow is the day, so you can go around thinking about it and collect the question, write them down, and in the beginning of the next lecture, you can ask your questions, you can send them in the chat. And yes, there are some people that will be listening to the recorded lecture. So of course you can send me the questions anytime, because you all, most of you have my contact, so you can just send it to me directly. So before we start the next slide, the next part of the course, the next part we are actually starting with the first big topic of the course, which is Hinduism. What is Hinduism and what is our place in Hinduism? So before I start with that, I would like to inform you that actually there is a devotee manual which has all this information that I'm talking right now about inside of it, and even more than we will be talking on the course. The devotee manual is available only for the initiated devotees. So it will not be available for people who are right now not initiated yet. But once you get initiated, you will receive an access to the devotee group. So there is a Telegram group for all the devotees, where we post a lot of information which is useful for the devotees. Guruji's satsangs, the devotee manual, mantras. We share also some experiences and questions and answers. So you will be added to this group once you become a devotee, and you will receive an access to Bhakti Marga Devotee manual. So in case you will not remember some of the information, of course I highly recommend you to take some notes. But whatever you feel like, oh, I didn't manage to write, I don't know now, I don't remember. So this information will be later also available for you. And of course, this course is recording right now, we are recording it. It will be sent to all the participants of the course, so you can always come back and again see the explanation and the slides. So for your own studying later on, these materials will be available. So now we are coming to understanding Hinduism. And let's start with the very first slide. So for me, it was actually a very strange thing to teach what is Hinduism to people who are mainly Hindus in the Hindu country, in India. And I'm a white woman sitting here. So it's really strange, it's really funny, it's a really funny feeling. But at the same time, I know that the perspective that we are teaching about Hinduism in our devotee course is very important. And many people who are born Hindus, they actually don't see this perspective. When they study, they also see very many new things for themselves. So what we will do, we will go through it quite quickly, but some things that I feel are important even for all of you to know, although you are, I think most of you are originally Hindus, I will just stop there for a little longer. And again, if you have questions in some particular topic, you can ask me. So, number one, of course, why do we have to know Hinduism? It's because we belong to it. Guruji being, first of all, he's Acharya initiated in the tradition of Sri Vaishnavism. So he is Vaishnava Acharya from 2008. And another title that he has is that he's Mahamandaleshwar. So Mahamandaleshwar meaning the master or the lord of many mandalas or many ashrams, many centers. And it also means a defender and ambassador of the faith. So he is a Mahamandaleshwar since 2015. He was initiated as Mahamandaleshwar in Nirmohi Akara during Kumbh Mela in Nasik in 2015. So you know, Nirmohi Akara is one of the Vaishnava Akaras. Probably you know a little bit about Akara system, let's put this word. It's like many Akaras that that were actually originally taking the source, the origin from Adi Shankaracharya's tradition. So he established first akaras, which means like a warrior, spiritual warrior order. And they were meant for protection of faith. So Guruji also decided that it's really important for him to be part of this. And so he is part of Nirmohi Akara. And we all, being his disciple, of course, we are also defenders of the faith. Like we are ambassadors and defenders of the Hindu faith. So we also need to remember that Guruji, in his personality, he unites also other roles. We will study his roles during this course, his role as a Kriya Yoga master, for example. So he is not only Vaishnava Acharya, he is not only Mahamandaleshwar, but he is also a Kriya Yoga master, Kriya Yoga guru. And his main role, which we all know, which we came to know first probably, is that he's a Sadguru, meaning that not just a guru, but the guru that actually takes the personal responsibility, as I mentioned before, to lead you to the final goal, to the final destination. And this is rare. Not every guru is a Sadguru. Sad also means the true guru, and Sad also means in a way that the only guru, like not that he is the only one, but for you he is the only, in a very specific sense that he is the one who was always with you. He actually never left you. He's the first guru that ever made this relation to you, this spiritual contract with you, so to say, that he will guide you through all your lives. And finally, when you come to the point that you are ready to receive the final, this divine relationship with Lord Narayana, to reach your final goal, finally, he will be there to guide you to that. So Sadguru is actually the true guru which guides your soul through the whole circle of your incarnations and brings you to the final goal. So this is his very unique role. But coming back to our Hinduism topic, so what we need to know is that Hinduism is a great tradition, and everything spiritual, actually, in the whole world, if we look, because historically Hinduism is the oldest tradition that we know. Vedas are the oldest text, spiritual texts that we have. It is like this. So when we look historically, anything spiritual that we have even in other countries, we see that it has some connections or some roots in one way or another, actually in this ancient tradition of Hinduism. So why we study Hinduism? So there are two main goals that you see on the slide here. And the first one says to remove the Abrahamic lens through which people look at Hinduism. So for most of you, this is not a problem, any Abrahamic lens. But I would like to explain you why it is important, because the next slides we will have some comparison happening between the religions that exist. And so why Guruji decided it's important for us to understand? Well, number one is because many followers of Guruji are Westerners, no? So they have certain ideas about the religion, about God, about our past. And the brief look to the difference between this religious tradition helps Westerners to actually understand that Hinduism stands on a completely different ground. For the people who are born in India and actually grown up with the tradition of Hinduism being like our own, our own and our most related to us. Why would it be important? Well, it is because in India there are many religions. Actually, in India, all the religions are present. And many Hindus actually say, but all the paths are ultimately, they lead to one goal. All the paths are the same. This is a very common saying nowadays. And you know what? This saying is actually quite wrong. It is true and it's wrong in the same way. So of course, God is one. There is only one God. Behind every tradition, there is only one God. And how Guruji mentions in his satsang, he says, well, all the doors in the end will lead to one reality. But you see, again, we see that they are leading to one reality in a very, very different way. And the concepts and ideas that are present in different religions are so different that sometimes you actually can't even find anything in common. So we will look at it and we will see that we have to find the unity, seeing the difference. It's not, we are not looking for the unity again. Let's look at the kids in the school, yeah? We are not trying to create the unity by saying that all the kids are absolutely the same and can take the same test absolutely in the same way. Because this will not be true. Because some kids have talents in art, some kids have talents in mathematics, and some kids have talents in languages. So obviously, some kid will be having like excellent marks in mathematics, and another one will try his best, but maybe still will not so good, no, because he's best in the art. So like this, we have to see the unity in the differences, and we have to identify our path and say, well, actually our path is like this, and this path is different. So I have to perform and practice my path. I should not just like take anything from other paths and try to incorporate it, because it's different. So removing the Abrahamic lens, and here a few things I need to say. Is, for example, such a simple thing as time is understood completely different in Christian traditions, in Islam, or in Jewish tradition. Time is linear in these traditions. And for example, the creation and the historical process, the whole process has a beginning and has an ultimately end. And if we look at Hinduism, there is no such thing. Look at the name, Sanatana Dharma, which we will just see in the next slides. Sanatana means eternal, which means there is no beginning. There is no such thing as beginning. There is no such thing as linear time. There is only cyclic time. Everything repeats and repeats. So this is already so different. So when we come and we try to apply the concept from different religions, we see suddenly, oh my God, it's like so different. So we will see it just now in the next slides. So let's just look at the second point on this slide. To increase our knowledge of Indian philosophy so that we have firm and broad understanding for our Vaishnava tradition. So of course Vaishnavism belongs to Hinduism. So you see, when we start building something, we first build the foundation of the house, no? So Hinduism is like a foundation. It has all the basic ideas that then Vaishnavism takes, and then we already see how Vaishnavism, like it's like building rooms and decoration of the house, and seeing all the small details and seeing it as a real nice and elaborate thing, no? So the same way Hinduism is like a base on which we will be building all the philosophy, Guruji's philosophy further. So that is why we really need to understand what Hinduism is. And what I also noticed is that, you know, for people who grow in the tradition, let's say I grew up in the Christian tradition. So my understanding of Christianity for many years was absolutely superficial. Like I didn't really know what Christianity teaches. So I knew that it's about like going to church, dressing in the certain way, praying to Christ. I knew some prayers. Like, I didn't know like deep philosophy behind that. I knew that we need to read the Bible. I knew the short story of Christ's life and some of the stories of that Christ spoke to his disciples in the New Testament. All of that, of course, I knew, but there was no really deep understanding. So I also see that sometimes we do understand Hinduism in a very superficial way, saying like, oh, okay, this is like praying to the deities, going to the temple on Diwali, or like doing Lakshmi Puja on Dhanteras Day, things like this, but we don't really go deeper and we don't understand. So again, it feels, of course, I don't say that you are like this, and maybe you have a very profound understanding of Hindu philosophies, but I'm just saying in general, I saw that it's often the case that we don't really understand. Okay, so let's see what is the next slide. How does it say about Hinduism? So you see, when I said Abrahamic tradition, I said this word. So who is Abraham? Abraham is a patriarch, a very respected and worshipped person for three very big world religions. So it's Christianity, it's Islam, and it's Judaism. So Abraham is worshipped by all three traditions, and he is considered to be basically a root, like a founder, almost like a founder of all three of them. We don't need to go to his story, but if we just take his two sons, so he had one son, Ismail, from the maiden, and he had one son, Isaac, from his wife. And Ismail was the elder son, Isaac was a smaller son. And so Ismail, in the end, became a founder or like a root for the Muslim religion, for Islam. And Isaac became a root for an originator for Judaism and then Christian religion as such. So he was also tested by God, and there are beautiful stories about him. So, but that's why we use his name in defining these religions, Abrahamic religions, because he is like a source or like a patriarch for all three of them. So that's why. Otherwise, what we see in these religions is basically the following tendency. So number one, there is always one founder. Let's say Christianity, of course, founder is Jesus Christ. So if we take out the picture Jesus Christ, so there is no Christianity. So he is the one who came, he's the Son of God. He comes, he teaches the people, he converts the people, then he dies on the cross, he takes the sin of the world. He is the one who is going to be there when all in the end of the time, when everybody will resurrect for their final judgment, and the goal is to reach the eternal heaven with Jesus Christ and to avoid, of course, the eternal hell, like without him and as a consequence of your sin, no? So then we have a single text also. So in Islam is the Quran, and it's worshipped as the only text, the only truth. In the Christianity, it is the Bible. So there is only text. It's quite a big text, but it's only one text that is worshipped as the source of divine truth, the Word of God. No, then Judaism is also the Bible. It's Torah. No, it's the part, the Bible without the New Testament that Christianity has. So there is a single text. There is a single founder, and there is a single philosophy. So even if we look at the Christianity, of course, there are many also branches right now in Christianity. But you see that the philosophy that lies, the basic philosophy, is very similar. They all believe in the life of Christ, in his teaching. that there was an original sin, that there will be the resurrection of the dead, the judgment day, and so on and so forth. No, and they all believe in similar thing. And if again you take out the Bible, or you take out the Christ, the Jesus Christ himself, then there is no religion. It's basically falls apart. Yes, so now let's look at what we have in Hinduism. And number one, we find there is no single founder. Well, look again at the name, Sanatana Dharma. It means it never actually started. It eternally existed. So there is no such thing that somebody came and gave it. There is no such thing. Yeah, there are rishis that let's say heard the Vedas and they spoke them. They put what they heard, they put it in the verses and they spoke them. But they are not really founders, and we don't even find most of the names of these rishis. We know some of them, but we don't know all of them. We just know there are Sapta rishis, there are many other rishis, and they gave this knowledge in portions, no? So there is no single founder. The knowledge existed, and it was spoken by many holy men, by many wise men. Now we look at the text. Well, yes, we can say that Hinduism, more or less, most of the philosophies of Hinduism and traditions schools inside of Hinduism, they accept the Vedas. But look at the Vedas and Vedic literature. Look at this. It's like a library of books. It's not one book, for sure not. If I'm sitting here in one room, which is maybe approximately 15, 17 square meters, I could for sure fill it in with Vedic scriptures here. I'm not talking only about the 4 Vedas, which we will study tomorrow, what they consist of and that, but I'm talking about Vedic literature as such. So after the Vedas itself, there are Puranas, there are Itihasas, like historical epics. There are Agamas, there are Dharmashastras, there are so many scriptures. So if you put it, for sure it will fill in this room, and maybe not even enough space will be here for that. So there is no single text. And that's why there is no single philosophy either. So we will also study, there are at least 6 darshanas, which means 6 views or 6 main branches of Hindu philosophy inside. And inside of them there are so many smaller divisions. So how do we call it a religion? No, it defies even the definition which we have in the West. Let's say what religion is, because it's so wide. So Hindu itself, Hinduism, where we take this term from, is actually also just brought to India itself by the Westerners. Original term is Sanatana Dharma. So let's look at the map of India, and on the map you will see on the very up left corner, you'll see there. Can we increase a little bit? Because you can't read like this. Can we put it closer?
It can't go bigger.
It can't go big. Okay, then you will just have to guess.
Put on the glasses.
Or put on the glasses. So on the very left corner, you see where the green valley of India ends, and then there are mountain stars. So there is a river there, and it's called Indus. So you see, when Westerners, let's say Alexander Makedonsky from Rome Empire, when he came to India, he had to cross this river. So the people who lived after this river, let's say in the valley that was behind after this river, the Westerners called them Indus, so the people who live after this river. So this is a very famous river, of course, of India. And whoever would come from the west, they had to cross the river. And whoever lived behind, they called them Indus. And so the religion that these people were practicing, obviously it was called Hindu or Hinduism. So like this, the term Hindu is basically a geographical term. It's not really a term that tells us anything about the religion itself, the religion of these people who lived after the river Indu. So after sometimes Indu, also sometimes you hear Sindhu, and it became, after some time in the language, it became Hindu. So it was Indu, Sindhu, Hindu. And that's how it stick to the religion and stick to the people. And now when we speak even in India, when we want to specify which religion you are, like if you're not a Muslim, then you're a Hindu or you're a Christian. No? So we don't use so much even the term of Sanatana Dharma, which is the original name of the spiritual practice that these people had. So the term Sanatana Dharma means eternal cosmic laws, like law, you know. So it's cosmic or universal law that people were practicing. And it's eternal, so it's existed always. So you see again, when we say founder, no? Again, there is no founder. And again, there is no such thing as a beginning, because there is no beginning and there is no end. So this is something that turns our mind already into the vastness of what's going to happen to us when we just understand that there is no end to our path also. Our path is eternal. So let's move on. So let's look further into the differences that we see between Abrahamic tradition and the Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma. So first look at the down part of your slide, and it says salvation theology. So I would like to start there. So it is very important to understand that salvation theology is coming from the point, from the axiom, or like from the thesis, that person has to be saved from the eternity of a hell and attain the eternal heaven. Why it is like this? Because there is such a concept as original sin. So we have original sin, so we have to, when we come to this life, which is the only life that we have, another thing, we have only one life to get purified from this original sin. And this we have to do by choosing the right faith. So this is a very crucial point here. So you see, life in this way comes to our perception as if it is a test of what you choose to believe in. So you see, if you come to the Christian, you will speak to like a Christian. I mean, right now we are not, which is very important to understand, we are talking about ideas, not about people. No, so some people might be considering themselves Christians, but they don't really believe that okay, we are the only carriers of the of truth. We are only ones who know the truth, and this is the only path. They will probably not even express that, but the actual dogma, the actual tradition says exactly that. So that you can only be saved, you can only reach eternal heavens if you believe in Christ, in his life, resurrection, and everything else. So like this, one more thing comes, the exclusivity of the truth. So each one of the Abrahamic religion will tell you that the truth is exclusively only with them. And this is unfortunate fact, I think, about these traditions, because it's very hard to have any discussion of any idea, because it just claims, okay, the truth is only that, and finish there. So now, not to criticize it, but just to like put a wider perspective onto that. Let's say we have a child who is born in some, I don't know, Nepali village somewhere in the mountains, and never received any education in the Christian tradition, and there was never a missionary there. So that basically means that this child from the very beginning is taking the possibility away, taking the possibility of having eternal life in heavens away. So this child doesn't have a chance. Or let's take another person who is in, I don't know, North Pole somewhere, not North Pole, but like in the very far north of Russia, let's say. We have these tribes, like, how you call them,
Indigenous.
Yeah, tribes that live there, no? So they, for example, they never hear about any traditions like this, but they practice their own spirituality, and they have like beliefs in the spirits of the ocean or the spirits of the animals and nature, and they have understanding of the higher spirit, and they pray to it, and they live in, let's say, a very harmonic life, and they respect the nature, respect the people, and they serve their people of their tribe or their nation the whole life. So let's say this person never committed any crime or anything, and then after death, well, if you ask Christian theologians or like Muslim theologians, they will offer you different possibilities that can happen to this person, but ultimately there is no a really decent answer to this question, where this person will go. He didn't have a chance to meet any information about Christ. No missionary came there. So, but he was a very nice person, a very good person. What happens to him then? So you see, there are loopholes like this in the theologies and the philosophies, which doesn't mean that this religion doesn't have saints, doesn't have love for God, and so on and so forth. Doesn't mean at all. But when we see the ideas, we can see, okay, like this loophole is there. How do I explain? How do I explain the idea of just God, for example? If God is really just, why doesn't he give the same possibility for each one to reach him? Why is it that only in Christian societies I can really like reach the eternal heaven with Jesus, but if I am this, I don't know, child from Nepal, I will never actually reach eternal heaven. It's just not possible, and I have only one life to do that. I have only one life to choose the right faith. So that's the question, no? And now we come to such thing as sadhana theology. So look, I already said sanadana dharma, and all of you for sure are familiar with this term. So now what Guruji is saying is that, and what we will find, of course, in the Hindu texts and scriptures, is that sanadana dharma is based on sadhana. So it doesn't say that you have to take the right faith. It says we do the religious practice, we do spiritual practice. Life is a process of evolution and experience. And you have many lives, numerous lives. So you can have this experience, you can have another experience, you can have third experience, and slowly you will move to the understanding of the eternal laws of Sanatana Dharma, of the how to lead the righteous life, how to reach the highest goal of life. So everybody will get a chance. And it goes through evolution, and you are given the practices which the masters given through the scriptures and through their guru-disciple relationships, through their word and deed. They give this example of these practices and of the result of these practices, and then they give it to you and they say, you try, and you yourself find out if it works or it doesn't work. So this is the difference, and we see it in Hinduism very clearly. So basically we can say you don't really need to even believe in anything before you try it. You can try it and you can find out yourself if it works for you or not. So again, this Hinduism, this approach that exists in Hinduism, it sorts out the problem of the justice of just God, which is often people ask why there is evil. Like, how can it be evil if God is good, if God is just? So it is sorted with a concept which is also very big part of Hinduism, the concept of karma, so that everybody has the fruits of their own actions. So God created everybody and put everybody in different conditions, but at the same way, with the same possibility to do the things and receive the fruits of their action and learn from that. So if you do bad things towards others, you will receive bad things from others. This is what's going to happen. So you will learn and then you will improve. So like this, everybody has the chance. So let's move on. So on the next slide, you will see the comparison of three religions. You see these three bubbles. So again, see here the traditions, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, three of them. Here, this slide just clearly shows you that not everything is the same. And when we say that, yes, the paths are all leading to one God, well, they do lead in a different way. And when we adopt ideas which, let's say, are very hard to explain, then we might even doubt actually the existence of the just God, or of loving God, of merciful God. And it's again up to us to look, to find what is our heart saying, what is our open mind saying, which tradition actually feels more proper for me. No? So let's just see here. So Hinduism has many ideas like yoga, karma, yagna, guru, atma, ahimsa, dharma. It has Vedas, Shastras, numerous deities, reincarnation idea. It has temple worship. Then we see Christianity and Hinduism have in common some very like great principles. For example, such idea as the idea of grace and relying on the grace. So when we speak about surrender, for example, like salvation is very much about surrender, about letting God to save you, no? So same idea is in Hinduism, especially in Vaishnavism. There is an idea of surrender. Well, it is formulated in a different way, but when we look at the saints and how they surrender to God, we see a lot in common. So such thing as grace exists in both religions. Idea of the God becoming flesh, becoming avatar, becoming embodied God exists in both religions, in Christianity and Hinduism, that Christ is embodied Lord. The saints, people who reached the unity with the divine, exist in both religions. The idea of divine mother exists in both. Idea of bhakti, of love to God, no, so deeply rooted in Christianity and in Hinduism as well. So then in Christianity we see something that is not present in Hinduism. So it's ideas like original sin, Bible being the only revelation, let's say, how I was telling you, like beginning and end of the historical of history, let's say. So then we see Islam. So there are same things. There is almost nothing that is same with Hinduism. You will see on this. You see it on this diagram. But what you can see also that there are some things that are similar to Christianity. Exclusivity, for example, of the faith is together in both religions. Judgment Day in both. We have only one life, both religions say. So, yeah, like this. And you can read Like Islam has Quran as the only true revelation, Muhammad as the only prophet. God has no form, which is very different from Christianity and Hinduism. Sharia is the laws, which we don't need to study deeper. Okay, so next slide. Just again to remind us that when we speak about these religions, we don't mean at all to criticize people. You see, inside of the religions, there are so many esoteric movements or sects, and many people consider themselves to be like Christians or Muslims, but they don't really like follow the mainstream dogma. And again, criticizing some ideas helps us to grow and to understand the diversity of things and to really understand where we're standing. It's not about criticizing the particular person who might be like really loving God, but being Christian. There is no, like, I would say it's like really stupid to even do that, because for myself, I know many Christians that even like sympathizing to what I'm doing, but they, like my own cousin sister, for example, she is like very tolerant to what I'm doing with my life, let's say, to my tradition, and she often even asks me to pray to my God. She says, well, she is the only one in the end, but let's say for her, like she can't convert because she says, I just have such love for Christ. But this is perfectly fine. Like, we are not talking about that here. No, so just the ideas, like for me, and when I speak to her, for example, I understand that I cannot accept the idea of one life, because for me it doesn't make sense. Like I see the philosophical foundation for what Hinduism is teaching, and I see it's like really amazingly explains to me everything. So everything that I see in the world, and it explains how God is and what we are here for. So for me, it is perfectly fine, but I can totally understand her love for God, and it is also totally fine. So you see, when we really see ourselves as one big family and we understand the differences and that we have inclinations for different paths, then there is no such thing as fight, even though we understand the differences. Okay, let's move on. So one more thing is here, you see on this slide, salvation theologies base their truth claims on historical evidence, and sadhana dharma bases its truth claims on experiences of the masters, who have laid down the way for us to experience the same what they experienced. So what it is about, it might sound like something very difficult, but it's actually not. I will give you a very simple example, which I already referred to. Imagine now we remove Jesus Christ. Then there is no Christianity. So for Christianity, it is super important that Jesus Christ lived, and there are records of his life, and that he was crucified, and that he did resurrect, and this historical event, these historical evidences that exist about him being a real historical God realized person, let's say, or God, Son of God incarnated on earth. This fact is very important. Now look at sadhana dharma or Sanatana Dharma religion. So let's even be so direct as we just remove Krishna from it. Let's say we say Krishna didn't exist. Sanatana Dharma will still exist. Or let's remove Rama from it. It will still exist. Or let's even remove, I don't know, Shiva from it. Then it will still exist. You see, it's not about, although we know that there are many historical evidence for life of Rama, Krishna, like other avatars even, and especially when we speak, of course, Rama and Krishna such like a big thing for Hinduism. Their lives and the histories of their lives is like a core for many Hindu traditions. But and we know, yes, that there is Ram Setu bridge that we see, and there are other evidences of Rama's life. There is Dwaraka that people find near the city Dwaraka in the ocean, and many things like this we find. And there are scriptural, when we look at the astrological, also astrological evidences like that are mentioned in the scripture itself, and then we can count exactly, more or less exactly when it was happening. So things like this, so that we can track and we can really say, yes, they did exist. And Guruji also says, yes, of course they did exist. But that's not the point. Because you see, in Sanatana Dharma, everything is also eternal. So when we speak about the Lord and his incarnation, it's a Nitya Lila. So it actually happens all the time. Like when we speak about Rasa Lila and Vrindavan, it happens all the time. So when we meditate on it and when we learn from the examples of their lives, it's just to prove that the principles of Sanatana Dharma that are given are true, and by their lives they prove that they are true, and that these principles help us to reach our goal. So you see, the Sanatana Dharma will not go away if we can't find a historical proof. That's the thing. So that's what is this slide about. And again, this difference is there so we can understand. So on this slide you see that we suggest you to rather think of Hinduism as a religion, but not as a religion, but as a culture, because it's so diverse. There are many groups, many traditions, many philosophies, many practices, and culture is always evolving and changing. So there are new masters coming, bringing some, let's say from the same scriptures, they bring forth some ideas that were not probably explored so much before, and so on and so forth. And you can't really convert, like in Christianity you take baptism and you convert it into religion, and this is like a one act that you do. Well, you can become a devotee, but it's not how you become a Hindu. You basically enter the culture. And then yes, you know that for Hindus there is in a very traditional Brahmin lineages, they sometimes say, no, you have to be born as Hindu, then only you can be Hindu. Well, Guruji doesn't support this opinion at all, and he says, well, you can enter Hinduism once you just start practicing it, basically. And again, Hinduism is not a religion of the book. So now, what is then unites Hinduism? You see, we were talking, it's so diverse. There are so many things, like from atheistic ideas itself to like the most exalted bhakti traditions. Everything is inside, and we will see also later how diverse it is. But there are the foundational principles that most Hindus, if you tell them about this, they will say, yes, I do believe in this. Oh, yes, I know that. And here on this slide, you see them. These are the universal truths of this world, and they lie the foundation of Hinduism understanding of what is actually happening with us here. So first is the Atma. The first idea is Atma, that we are the divine selves, that we are souls, we are not the bodies. We are eternal. And again, there are many different understanding what exactly Atma is in the Hinduism. But everybody agrees that, well, we are divine, we have an Atma. Then the next concept is karma, a universal law of action and reaction. And we will speak about it a little bit later. Then reincarnation, idea of reincarnation, that Atma goes through the cycle of rebirth. It's getting born, lives the life, the body dies, it gets the other body, and so on and so forth. And this is how the law of karma is also implemented, because sometimes you can't do it in one life. So you have to carry on. Idea of moksha or liberation. So compared to salvation theology, salvation says it's salvation. So you have to be saved, no? In Sanatana Dharma, it's a liberation. So you, after the process of evolution and slow purification of your own self, with the grace, of course, then you get liberated. You get liberated from this cycle of birth and death, and you receive, you reach the eternal abode. Also exists here. Then there is dharma, the concept of dharma, which is a very deep concept which we will study later on. Then there is such process as Srishti and Pralaya. So Srishti is creation and Pralaya is destruction, annihilation of the creation. No, finally, most important, of course, Brahman. Brahman, which is the foundation of everything that exists. This is how Upanishads, the philosophical part of the Veda, speak about Brahman. Define Brahman as being everything. We will speak about it a little bit later. And then the basis of Hinduism rests on the spiritual master. And most Hindus probably, there is a remark on your slide, most Hindus will probably not recognize this as true about them. But when you look at any profound spiritual tradition inside of Hinduism, every single one has a master, a guru as a founder, and every single one has a parampara. Every single one has the scripture that says that guru is crucially important to reach the goal of the path. So that is why we have to include spiritual master in the picture already here. And now let's go through these 7 tenets or 7 principles that we mentioned. And for you to remember them nicely, I would like to put them in more or less one sentence. So you can explain the whole Hindu philosophy, the whole Hindu idea of life using the 7 principles like this. I'm the Atma who is inside of the cycle of Srishti and Pralaya, going through the cycle of reincarnation. Because of my karma. Why do I reincarnate? Because of my karma. Because of the law of action and reaction. My goal is to reach Brahman. And if I will practice Dharma, I will attain moksha. And so I will reach Brahman. Again, let's put Brahman in the beginning now. So I'm the Atma who is searching for Brahman, no? So this is actually the most important thing. So we are searching for Brahman. We are looking for unity, relationship in different ways, but we are looking for Brahman. So I am the Atman who is looking for Brahman. I am inside of the Srishti and Pralaya, going through the circle of reincarnation because of my karma. But if I practice Dharma, then I can reach moksha. So this is how all these 7 tenets of Hinduism can be put together in one sentence, literally, and you can remember them like this. So here, the next slide is showing you a very brief history of Hinduism. Why I think it is important for you guys to still go through it, although I think you know it, you know history of your own country. Why is because we can understand through these points that Guruji chose to show us here, we can understand through these points why Hinduism was, the roots of Hinduism, the Vedic tradition was actually lost by many, many Hindus, by many Indians. Why it was lost, why it was forgotten, and really to somehow even to again re-establish this confidence, this love, and this, like in a good way, the pride of the Hindus, that it is so important that we start to again re-evaluating the tradition to which we belong. So, of course, when we speak about history, where do we start history is if it's Sanatana Dharma, so means it's eternal. So where we start with Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga was the Yuga when it went into its decline. And this is where we forgot. We forgot what it means, we forgot what it is, the Sanatana Dharma. So see, the beginning of Kali Yuga is Krishna leaving the earth. We know that it's around 5,200 years ago, 5,200 when he lived, and then he leaves the earth, and then Kali Yuga starts with his departure. This you probably know. And then what happens after that is slowly the corruption starts to happen. So Kali Yuga is characterized by the selfishness of the people. People become very egoistic and they start thinking only about themselves, their benefits, their profits, whatever they can have for themselves. So even corruption comes into the Brahmin castes, no? So it becomes a way, the religion becomes corrupted, and Brahmins start charging the money, start to use the religion for their own enrichment. So what happens? People, of course, they are not so stupid, so they see that. And around 500 years before Christ, if we use, of course, this time frame, what we see is that Buddhism and Jainism, the Gnostic tradition, appears. And why they appear is because the Astika, the tradition, the Vedic tradition, like really showed to the people that it's used in a like a bad way, because only Brahmins could conduct the rituals like yagnas or pujas. So they charged money for that. So the tradition of Buddhism and Jainism, they appear and they say, you don't need that. Like especially Buddhism, it just says you just need to follow the path of Buddha yourself. You practice yourself and you liberate yourself. You don't need anybody to liberate you or to help you in liberation. So like this, the Vedic, when Buddhism appeared, it started to spread very fast and very wide. Same happened to Jainism also. It started to spread really fast. So as the opposite to that, of course, the Vedic the Vedic tradition did not die. So there were followers, there were deep believers, there were bhaktas inside of the Vedic tradition. And so the rise of Vaishnavism and Shaivism happened in the beginning of already our era, after Christ, let's say. For us, it's like easier to see this frame. So there were rise of the saints of both tradition, Vaishnava and Shaiva. For example, Alvars. We see these beautiful saints that were worshipping Lord Narayana and praising him in the songs, or Nayanars in Shaivism. So there are many saints that appear and they start moving from these Gnostic traditions, which were very far from Bhakti. They started to this movement back to the Vedic culture. Then revival of Vedic culture happens by the efforts of Adi Shankaracharya, Ramanuja Acharya, Madhava Acharya. All of them appear from 7-8 centuries. They start appearing on earth and establishing the Vedanta philosophies, which bring us back into the Vedic tradition. But then what happens again is Islamic invasion. Around 1000 AD, around this time, Islamic invasion happens. And for 8 centuries almost, the Muslims rule the country in one way or another. And so what happens is the temples get ruined. There are many people also being killed, no? So millions of people, Hindus, are being killed also. So the tradition suffers a lot of loss. Now, imagine them, that many Brahmins, many people who were carrying the knowledge of Vedic religion, they are being killed, and of course there is no succession. So in many places the religion, of course, gets ruined. At the same time, on the 15th century, by God's grace, only He knows how, but there is a Bhakti revival. So we see amazing saints, like, for example, Mirabai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Guru Nanak, Kabir Das, many other saints, then Tukaram, and some other saints of Pandharpur. Like, many saints come, Saint Tulsidas again. Many saints come and they start this revival again of Bhakti. And then British rule comes, and this was, I would say, in many ways like a final shot inside of the head of Vedic tradition. Because even when we look at the historical documents of how what British rule was trying to do to India and to Hindus is basically to uproot the culture as much as possible, because this they saw as the only way to really conquer the country. So you know about that, I think, very well. I won't stop there. But independence happening in 1947. So we need to really look and really understand that what we are trying to do, what Guruji is trying to do, as he actually brought he brought one of the most ancient traditions of Hinduism, like Sri Vaishnavism, he brought to Europe. And in many ways, like, when I see how Westerners learn from him and like they really try to study tradition, sometimes when I come here, I see that I actually know more than some Hindus know. And it's really pity, it's really sad to see. So the tradition is really so great. Yeah, and hopefully with Guruji's help also, we can really see this greatness and learn more. Okay, so the next slide shows you the key verse to explain the Hindu thought. Ekam sad vipra bahuda vadanti. Ekam sad vipra bahuda vadanti. So this means this line is taken from Rig Veda, and it says, the truth is one, but the wise speak of it in many ways. This is really a slogan for Hinduism and really a description of what Hinduism presents. It definitely says that there is truth. So all the concepts that, because there are such a multiplicity of opinions about truth, that means that truth doesn't really exist or everybody is right. No, it doesn't say that. It says no, truth definitely exists and it is one. There is one truth. The wise will speak about it in a different ways, but when we realize it, it will be one truth. So it explains different philosophies. It explains different deities in Hinduism. Why we have so many deities, like thousands of them, literally thousands, and why it's all coexist together without any problem. And then when new religion comes, it's only in Hinduism that it's possible that, Christianity, no problem. Jesus Christ is also an avatar. We include him, we put his picture also on the altar, no problem. So that only exists in Hinduism. You cannot see, like, in Christianity, they will not ever put Krishna on the altar. Like, it's not possible. You see, because there is exclusivity of the truth. So here you come to somebody Many times I saw it. You come to some yogi in the house and you see there is Krishna on the altar, there's Jesus on the altar, Divine Mother, Rama, Shiva, everybody together nicely. So that's only possible in Hinduism because of this Ekam Sat Viprabahuda Vadanti. The truth is one, but the wise speak about it in different ways. So the next slide is the structure of Hinduism. So what we see here is the different parts of Hinduism or different traditions inside Hinduism. So first is Vaishnavism, then you see Shaivism, then there is Shaktism, and there is Smartism. So very easy, I think you also know it, so we don't stop at it for a long time. Vaishnavism worships Narayana, Krishna, Vishnu, Vasudeva, aligned with Vedic revelation, and any incarnation of Mahavishnu Narayana is basically worshipped. And of course, there are many philosophies inside, many Vedantas. There are 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, which we will study later. Shaivism, the main deity is Shiva, and it's aligned with mostly with Smriti, but also with Vedas as well. But with Smriti means Puranic tradition and Agamas. Shaktism, again, more aligned with Puranic tradition. There are Devi Puranas and then they teach the truth that Shakti, the Devi, is the ultimate deity. And then Smartism is the tradition that started from Adi Shankaracharya, which basically said that there is only Brahman, which is formless, which is Nirguna, and Nirvishesha, doesn't have form or attributes. But then when Brahman appears in the illusory world, it can appear actually as anything. It can appear as Devi, as Vishnu, as Shiva, as Ganesha, as Surya. It can take any form. So that is why it doesn't matter which form you worship. So this is Advaita Vedanta concept, and that is why in tradition of Smartism in their temples you will see all the deities also present, and ultimately it's not actually even the goal to worship the particular deity. And again, even you can say that most of the Hindus will not even maybe define themselves as being Vaishnava, Shaiva, or Shakta, or Smarta. They will just think, okay, I'm just Hindu, I'm just worshipping all Hindu gods. So now inside of Hinduism, we'll see also many concepts of God. So some of them are that God is a person. Some concepts speak about personality of God. It says God is a person, it has form, it has attributes. Some will say that no, God is without the form and without their qualities. Then again, the question raises here, is Hinduism monotheistic or polytheistic? And in the end, we can even say that it's panentheistic, not even pantheistic, but panentheistic, which means God is one and it's present in everything, but at the same time, it is different from the creation and is beyond the creation. So monotheistic, why we say that? Because in Vedas it is clearly said that there is only one foundation, or there is only one reality in which everything exists, and this is Brahman. So like this, it is monotheistic. But then Brahman appears in so many ways, in so many forms. So that is why it may seem that it is polytheistic, but it's actually not. Then God is present in creation, what I said already, and beyond creation, which means Hinduism is panentheistic. This is the term for that particular concept. Divinity is within every living being, and that is why there is vegetarianism so widely spread also, because if we see God in every living being, then we cannot really kill anybody. We have to take care about every living being. Then there are concepts of avatars, so that God comes in many embodiments, in the human form, in the even animal form, so that God comes to earth. So this all is inside of the concept of God in Hinduism. So there are different paths to liberation which are accepted inside of Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma. And these paths are also quite famous and quite known, like Bhakti Yoga or Prapati, meaning surrender. This is the path of developing love and relying on God's grace. This is the path of developing the love relationship and relationship of love and service to the divine. There is Jnana Yoga, the path of contemplation and self-inquiry. When we investigate our own selves, we question our own selves, and we acquire a knowledge who we really are, who we truly are. Then there is Dhyana or Raja Yoga, the path of meditation, the path of the specific sadhana. And then there is Karma Yoga, the path of acting without attachment to the fruits of the action, which Krishna widely speaks in Bhagavad Gita. No? So all of them, you see, term yoga comes from the root yuj, which means to join, to attach oneself or to connect oneself to something. And so what we are joining ourselves to is, of course, again, Atma is joining or trying to connect to the Brahman. And these are the paths that are prescribed in the scriptures and by masters. So there is such thing in Hinduism as Tantra as well. So Tantra directly means divinization of material world. It means awakening and accessing the divine in the material. So very often Tantra is misunderstood as something like a sexual practices or some rituals that involve even the killing of animals or even people, and some rituals that awaken the Shakti Kundalini in a very wild way, let's put it this way. But actually it's not exactly like this. And for example, if you take such a scripture as Lakshmi Tantra, which is Sri Vaishnava scripture, it's a very important scripture for Sri Vaishnavas, and it speaks about Murti worship, about establishing how properly do the prana pratishta or establish Murti, how to do the mudras. It speaks about the mantras and yantras. So this is how to bring the divinity in our daily life, how to basically make my life divine. How to make alive this deity which I worship. So this is what Tantra originally means. And when we do, for example, our Atma Kriya Yoga practice, which Guruji has given to us, and Mahavadar Babaji has given to us, we actually doing like a tantric practice, because we are divinizing our own bodies by bringing the energy of the divine, the grace of the masters inside of our bodies, inside of our chakras, inside of the nadis, and awakening the kundalini like this. So this is also part of the tantra. So this we need to understand, that sometimes some of the understandings are also wrong, or it's just some prejudice exists around some of the terms that used in the Hinduism. So it's already 9 o'clock, but because we started a little bit later, I will take another 10 minutes and I will explain a very important topics, which is social aspects or ashramas of life that Vedic society, Vedic culture was teaching. Then purusharthas, or goals of life. And yeah, probably we stop there. So you see, for sure you also have some knowledge of that. So I will not stop too much on that. So in Vedic society and in Vedic scriptures, it's described that the life of a person goes through 4 stages. And it's a natural flow of life that is just described, and it's put in some frame so that it's suggested for every person to take these steps in life. So your life is harmonious, so that life is a balance, and that you can learn whatever you need to learn. You can fulfill the 4 goals of life, and you can reach the liberation in the end of your life. So these social stages of life are brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas, which means brahmachari, student life, which is prescribed for the kids, for children who like grew up a little bit till the age of 5, 6 or whatever, and then they are given to Gurukul for studying under the Guru's guidance. Here we see Guru already appears in the very young age. Then after they finish the studying, they are prepared. They learn about dharma, no? They learn about what is their righteous life, what they need to do in life. And they also learn all kinds of sciences. And in Vedic scripture, all kinds of sciences were there. So they learn all of that, and then they come to the stage of grihastha. So they get married, they have a household, they raise their children, they earn the money, they enjoy life to the fullness. And then they come to the stage when the kids are grown up, and then they need to start to withdraw from the responsibilities and maybe give their knowledge to their children and grandchildren, and prepare themselves to go in completely full renunciation. So the 3rd stage is vanaprastha, when the person starts slowly withdraw themselves, and then they come into sannyas, when they retreat completely into the forest, into the ashram, and they come into the full renunciation to seek for liberation, for the final goal of life. And on the next slide, you see that how the purusharthas, the goals of life, were actually nicely fitting into these 4 stages of life. So the 4 goals of life are dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So dharma is righteousness, the right conduct, the knowing of laws of nature, knowing of what will bring me to the final satisfaction. Artha is wealth, which brings us the material pleasure, and which is very important also to support the family, to support the people, to grow the prosperity of the society. Then kama is a desire, the fulfillment of material desires of all kinds, not only of the sexual desire, but all kinds of desires. So these 2, the first goal of life is reached already on the stage of brahmachari, when we study. When we become grihastas, we try to reach the 2 goals, artha and kama, which are in the middle. And then when we become vanaprastha, we start looking at again dharma and moksha as the final goal. And then when we are sannyas, the moksha is the only goal that we are pursuing. And finally, of course, being satisfied with all the stages of life and reaching all 4 goals, we reach the final unity relationship with the Lord. And in our tradition in Bhakti Marga, of course, we add bhakti is not a traditionally listed goal, but it can be also included. And when we actually start to include bhakti on each step of our life, on each stage of our life, we see that all life becomes a journey of love relationship with God. And none of the stages of life becomes excluded from this amazing journey of love to God. And then finally, when we reach moksha, we actually reach this final pure love and service of God. So we will have to do, although I think I can do one more slide, there is still 5 minutes that I can take from you. And then the Varnas, time, and the Guru discipleship we will just do in the beginning of the next lecture tomorrow. So let's look at the 6 darshanas or 6 philosophies, main philosophies of Hinduism. So remember I was explaining to you that Hinduism is very wide and it actually includes many kind of philosophies inside of it. So here you see Vedanta, Yoga, Sankhya, Mimamsa, Nyaya, and Vaisheshika. So it is important that we know a little bit about them and we know where we are at and which category. So they are also called darshanas, or views or approaches to reality. So there are different approaches that all of them are saying that you can reach God through this path, through this view, through this approach. So Vedanta is philosophical teachings which are drawn from the Vedas, mostly from Upanishads. And there are many Vedantas. So it's not only one Vedanta. So we know Advaita Vedanta, we know Vishishta Advaita Vedanta, we know Dvaita Vedanta, and so on and so forth. We will study them a little bit later, tomorrow. So we belong to Vedanta. So these philosophical teachings, they teach about relationship between Atman, Brahman, and Prakriti. Between these 3 main principles that we know we need to find out in which relation they are and how we are supposed to behave and what we are supposed to reach. And Vedanta is explaining all of these things. Then yoga. Yoga, we mostly know yoga through the famous scripture Patanjali Sutras, Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And it formulates also the goal of life, and it gives us the practices which are designed to attain Atma Anubhavam, or experience of Atma, knowledge and experience of Atma. So Chitta Vritti Nirodhana is the goal of yoga, how it is formulated by Patanjali himself, which means we need to still the fluctuations of the mind. And when we still the fluctuations of the mind, we will reach the Atma Anubhavam, or knowledge of the self, of the true self, of the Atma. And then the practices which yoga gives are for that. Then Sankhya, very important. This is philosophy. This is the philosophy that was originated by Kapila, who is also considered to be incarnation of the Lord Narayana. And it gives us a division between Purusha and Prakriti, which means Purusha is a spiritual reality and Prakriti is material reality. And Sankhya teaches us that if you only know and learn and really understand the difference between Prakriti and Purusha, the material and spiritual, then you will reach their realization. Then you will be free, you will attain moksha. And then Sankhya is, let's say, atheistic Sankhya. It doesn't speak about God. And there is theistic Sankhya, which is given by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita itself. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches that there is Prakriti and Purusha, but both of these natures actually belong spiritual nature and material nature belong to Krishna only, and they are his natures only. Narayana, no. And he is also beyond both of them, so he is in control of both of them. So this is the theistic Sankhya. Then there is Mimamsa, a ritualistic process as a means to salvation. So Mimamsa, there is a part of the Veda that is called Karma Kanda, which describes the rituals and why they are so important. And rituals are done for so many reasons, like achievements of so many material results and desires, but also spiritual goals. And finally, also for moksha. So this is Mimamsa, that the path and the philosophy around the ritual. The path is the ritual and the philosophy is around the ritual, and explaining why the ritual is so important. Then finally, Nyaya. So Nyaya is very interesting. Actually, Nyaya, the goal of the Nyaya is to establish the methodology with using which we can make conclusions about the truth. So it's logic and reason which we use, the methodology which we use to deduce the truth. So Nyaya establishes the rules for the discussions, for the argumentations, and for the logic. And in Nyaya, we have all of these teachings about pramanas, for example, or the sources of knowledge, which is important for Vedanta. So Vedanta actually uses Nyaya for its own deductions, for its own logic conclusions. So it's a very important part, which most, let's say, Vaishnava Pandits, they absolutely is a must for them to study Nyaya as well. And then Vaisheshika is atomic approach to deduce the truth. So it says that the person can be liberated from the cycle of birth and death just by knowing the true reality of this world, how the world is built. And the world is built from the micro particles, which are atoms. And so it describes the whole world. And it's a very interesting, very deep also system, which actually the first system in the world that was describing the world as being made out of the small particles or atoms. Okay, so these are the 6 darshanas, and for today we stop here. And let me look at the questions, and if you have questions now, you can ask. Yeah, there are some comments I see, but there are not really questions. Some comments about Lord Ram and timings. We will look at the timings. I see Harihara Das was messaging here about the timings of Lord incarnations on earth. So it's actually coming tomorrow when I will just quickly speak about time, and we will see how long each yuga is, and how long is the day of Brahma is, and how long is the night of Brahma is. And you will see that, yes, actually, it's mind-blowing. That Sanadana Dharma is really, even if we can't understand what eternity is, but when we speak about trillions of years, then we like, okay, it's like eternity is equals to eternity to me. Okay, so I see there is not really questions. Jatilananda, did you see any questions while? No, there were no any questions.
Somebody's asking what's the essence of Hinduism.
So, you see the essence, Guruji likes this Rigveda sentence, this Rigveda verse which says, Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti, which means that there is truth, the truth is one, but the wise speak about it in a different way. So this is very hard find any other essence actually, because you see even now we saw the 6 darshanas, the 6 ways of seeing world in Hinduism, 6 different approaches to to 6 different views, 6 different approaches to life and the world, and they are very different. So the essence is actually, say that truth is, Brahman is, but we see it differently, and our goal is to investigate it. And again, when you come back to the 7 tenets of Hinduism, 7 principles that most Hindus will share. No? Well, I told that maybe not all of them, but most will recognize them as the truths that they also accept. And this is Atma, Brahman, reincarnation, karma, dharma, cycle of Srishti and Pralaya, and moksha, finally. No? So 7 tenets, and we put them in there, one sentence, which we can say, this is the essence of Hinduism. I hope you will remember the sentence, and I will ask you by tomorrow to remember it. So any other questions? Trying to look at you all. No questions. Okay, then I think for today we will finish our session with a little prayer and see you tomorrow. So tomorrow we will finish this little, like a few slides of Hinduism section, and we will go into Hindu scriptures. And after that, after I finish with Hindu scriptures, we will have a break because tomorrow is a longer session. It's 4 hours. So we will have a break for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and then Hiranmayi will be presenting you Vaishnavism, what is Vedanta, what is Vishishtadvaita Vedanta, and so on and so forth. So you will learn a lot about that tomorrow as well. So Jai Gurudev, and Om Shanti 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 Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om Sadgurudeva Shri Swami Vishwananda Mahaprabhu Ki Jai.